Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Renata Ravilova, founder of ghostwriting agency that focuses on lead generation on LinkedIn and founder of Compostly, your ultimate content creation LinkedIn tool. Today, we're going to deep dive in the topic on how to build the community on LinkedIn and drive engagement. Our special guest for today is Nikolett Jaksa, and she is number one creator in Serbia and also personal brand strategist, LinkedIn coach, and ghostwriter. Welcome. Ooh.
Hi. I'm so
Eh,
excited.
Yay. So let's start from the basics. Let's talk about the importance of building a community around your personal brand on LinkedIn and by doing what exactly it can be achieved. What are your thoughts on that?
So, building a community around your content is super important. It feels like everybody's like supporting you and they are there for you and your content. It just feels to have people around you who truly enjoy, and how you can build your audience or your community around yourself is the first and most important thing is commenting. I guess stress is enough. Because if you comment on others people, they will come back and engage with your post as well, and you will see that those people will come back to your post and support you. And yeah, basically that's it. And you notice from time to time people's face in your content under your posts. And after like when I notice them, when I see the similar faces, I usually DM them. So like, thanks for always supporting my posts, or I love your point on XYZ. And that opens the door for a real chat and relationship. So sometimes they will even be the one to say, "Hey, do you offer coaching or ghostwriting?" So yeah, it's just important to move the conversation from public to private while keeping the same authentic vibe.
That's so true. And also, like, I like that in this sense, we are highlighting also not waiting for, people to come to you, but also being proactive. And it is good thing to just, start the conversation. Maybe it will be just networking. Maybe it will lead to opportunities. But I'm always saying that, well, outbound leads is something that works the best, let's say, because inbound leads are, let's say, it's the perfection, right? It's our dream that people will just keep coming.
Yes, but it's unreliable,
Yeah.
and you can't really pick the inbound leads. So when you do outbound, you can really choose who you reach out to, and maybe that those clients for me, I noticed that those are the better fit than the inbound ones.
Interesting. And yeah, because first of all, you choose, right? So who to text. So you usually base that on the interest of the profile and etc. So it starts from the interest and leads to the connection and collaboration. That's great.
Yes, exactly.
So how many comments do you do per day? I wonder.
So I usually reply to all of the comments I get, not all of them because there are a lot of AI comments. So that's around like 100 to 200 comments a day. Also, I do 20 to 30 to other people like who I want to support, other creators, ICPs, peers, and even small creators who need some love.
That's true. It's always great to support, especially the ones that are just beginning their path. And each like and comments is such a blessing for them. I was there, and I did appreciate all the people who supported me from the start.
Exactly. Yeah, we were all there, so I know how much like it means when someone who is bigger, who like supports you in the comments.
Exactly. And I also like how you mentioned also the importance of commenting different people. So you don't only do, for example, your target audience, right? It's also about supporting other peers in the industry. It's also about maybe finding new partnerships and collaborations. And also, I think it's also important to comment the influencers as well, especially in the industry, because they have a lot of tractions and comments in their sections can lead even to thousands of impressions. And the chances that from this thousands of people who saw your comment might be also relevant audience to you is pretty high. So usually when I offer also the ghostwriting services, I do add on this feature of commenting from the founders. It's always fun and challenging sometimes because, of course, you want to do it as close to the way of their commenting, their speech, and etc. as possible. I don't use like AI automated tools. They look disgusting. And it's crazy to see them like how, oh, it's so great, blah, blah, blah. I don't even, get the context. So I do them manually, but yeah, trying to do as possible, as close as possible to the founders.
For my coaching clients, I do teach my coaching clients about like my engagement strategy and how should they do engagement. And I always tell and always include that they shouldn't do like an engagement list, because some people like creates an engagement list, I don't know, of 20 people, and every day they go on their profile and engages with them. But I don't like that, because you always engage in the with the same people, and you will be stuck in that same bubble, and your growth will like stop, basically. So you need to go out every day and find new people to engage with, and to actually find new clients, even, and new peers, influencers. And even in the influencer, find the ones who you share target audiences with, and you can check even their comments to find clients there, and basically steal their followers by sharing a super valuable like comment there.
That's so true. And also the fact that you mentioned not only influencers, but I think they're called the pods,
Yeah,
pod
engagement
groups. So
boards.
like, yes, something like this. I saw them everywhere, not only in LinkedIn and Instagram, TikTok, and etc. But I do agree that it just creates a bubble. I do like the new kind of feature on LinkedIn that now if you scroll your feed, you will see a lot of suggested posts.
Yeah.
So, and I found them very relevant usually, and that's how I started to also build the lists
Yeah.
of the new people.
When you scroll on the feed, in the top section, there's two options you can choose from. There's the top feed and the recent feed. And if you click on the recent feed, because people usually scroll the top feed, if you scroll the recent feed, you will find the new people who your connections like engaged with. So that's the other way that I find new connections or clients.
Amazing. That's a pro tip. Thank you for sharing. And I know that at 22, you become number one female LinkedIn creator in Serbia and top 1% globally. So, what was your strategy for building such engaged community so quickly? While also, as I remember, you were a full-time student, right?
Yeah, I'm still, I'm a student as well. So um, the fact that I'm student, it forced me to be disciplined. So I didn't have endless hours to scroll or overthink. I had to create a system. So I decided that I'm going to post 4 times a week and the same time, and there's no excuses. And that consistency alone built trust with my audience, that I always showed up. But posting wasn't the only game. Um, I engaged also with clients or ICPs and other creators, influencers, as I mentioned before. So I spend just as much time engaging with other people's content like I spent with posting. So that's how you get noticed in the beginning. And also, I was intentional about my positioning. So I wasn't just writing for everyone. I chose to speak to founders and CEOs in my content. So those are the people who I wanted to track. So every post was aimed at their problems and struggles, and not some generic tips. And that way I saw LinkedIn as a classroom. So you don't just show up, say nothing, and leave. But you come prepared, share your point of view, ask questions, build relationships, and basically that mindset made the whole thing feel natural.
Okay, awesome. So, first of all, you need to build a system and then act it up. Well, I guess it's the preparation that matters, right? The most that helps you to save the time in the long run.
Yes, systems always help because they streamline the whole process. So if you have in your calendar that you post 4 times a week, you have your content pillars, and you basically build out a whole content calendar, it will be so much easier to speak about those topics. Because if you have these content pillars that you set for yourself, for example, about 3 to 5 topics, and you just always talk about the same topic, but with a different point of view. So you don't have to always come up with new ideas, because that's that's one thing where people like burn out.
Definitely, there is no point of reinventing the wheel, and we work to work smarter, not harder. I know that you helped clients to go from 5 likes to 50 plus comments by adding personal stories and humor. And what's your framework for making, like, especially corporate content more engaging?
So the way I think about it is, it's super simple. Every post needs a little humanity. So I use this three step thing, like a framework for that. The first is to start with something human, a story or joke or relatable. When people say that I've been there, when they feel like that happened with them too. The second one is to strip away the jargon. So usually these professional people think that if you act more professional, you will be like seen as an authority or a professional. But that usually confuses people. So speak how people talk. Don't overcomplicate it. Just plain simple English. If you create content in English, of course. The third point is to end with something that invites people in. So I usually do that by adding a simple PS question or a funny observation, a strong statement. That's what got comments. The client you mentioned was posting like a very stiff, like press release style content, and we started um, putting like her real life stories and like real little humor in her content. So people suddenly saw her instead of a corporate, like saw her personality instead of like a robot, a corporate robot. And the reaction was truly wild, because the comments multiplied, not because of the algorithm like found her, but because she felt relatable and approachable.
Awesome. Yeah, I think it's important though. I still see some, especially professionals that are working in, let's say, serious industries, and especially maybe in, let's say, German countries, like, that very strict and, let's say, have a lot of restrictions. It's still hard for them to be more human as well. As I see, a lot of people strive to be perfect on LinkedIn, which is, everybody knows that it's not possible.
Exactly. And sometimes they confuse that sharing their personality means that they have to overshare. When I say to them that, um, when I tell them to be more personal, they think that I'm telling them to share their personal life, like their marriage or kids or family life. But that doesn't mean that. It means that you just share your point of view, not like how to tips, but how I things, like how you do certain things, how you think about certain things. So that makes a content personal. They don't have to like post very private stuff.
Yeah, that's true. Like, it doesn't mean oversharing for sure. And I see that your posts consistently get high engagement. And I wanted to ask you, what are your specific elements to include in every post that's encouraged for comments and meaningful interaction? As you mentioned previously, you said that you usually add like a short postscriptum, right, to invite people in. But I also see a lot of this kind of postscriptum are left unanswered in many people posts. So why you're like, how do you approach it differently?
So for me, there are some few non-negotiables that has to be in my content. The first is the first line has to make you stop scrolling. That's the hook. If it doesn't, the rest doesn't matter, because people won't read it. The middle has to carry a story of a strong point of view. Facts, tips are fine, but they're forgettable without context. So stories make things stick, like stories sell. And I always make space for the reader. So usually by asking a question or sharing a contrast or giving them something to react to. when I'm asking a question in the PS section, I always make sure that the question can be answered with a yes, no, I do, I don't, or some, or with a number, because they don't have to think about the answer. If you ask a complex answer, they won't think and actually sit down and reply in the comments. You have to ask a question that they know immediately the answer. Also, what I'm really like careful that I really give some like more thoughts in my content, that is the format, that I format my post with short sentences, white spaces, easy to skim, because people don't read the whole thing, they skim through the post, and if it looks like an essay, people will scroll away. And yeah, and there has to be an emotion in my post. So it doesn't matter if it's human inspiration, curiosity, or even a little bit of frustration. If people feel something, they are far more likely to respond in the comments.
That's so true. And what you mentioned, right, about the structure of the post, I think it's super important. Nobody really wants to read essays. Well, I know a lot of people are haters and they say like, oh, why people are just, dropping this one sentence thoughts on the line and have a lot of things. I don't think people are illiterate on LinkedIn, but they don't have that much time. Everybody's like super busy with their own lives, their founders, their C-levels, a lot of great people out there. So they actually want to, and it's just, I guess, how people start to consume the content in general, thanks to TikTok.
Yes. And we have short attention because, TikTok and these short form videos really fried our attention spans. So it's really important to get to the point really quickly and don't just write a whole essay, because, we were taught in school to write essays, but in social media and real life, we don't want to read and write essays.
Yeah, that's why, for example, in our tool, we also focus specifically on LinkedIn acceptable formatting, right? Sometimes people, oh, it doesn't like, say it doesn't write as I write, right? But sometimes you need to test out a different approach and see if it's performing better. Because if you've been writing only essays and a lot of, text blocks straight away, unless you are super famous and super reliable, person that build his fame through other resources, nobody's going to read this long format text with only, a lot of
Exactly. Yeah, people are saying that, oh, Alex Hormozy is writing some like long text. Okay, but he is Alex Hormozy.
Exactly. Well, who doesn't know him, right? First of all. Secondly, he built his influence way above the LinkedIn, and people just, know him as an expert and they trust his expertise. That's why they read. But unless you're already known for your expertise, like and proven that much people know, nobody's going to do it, unfortunately, unless they're just your true fans who know you, or friends or family members or something like this.
Yeah, but I don't want fans, because, fans will never buy from you, or I don't know. I just see it that way. I just want a community around myself where everybody feels like accepted, cared for, look out for. So, for me, fans means something more negative than positive.
Interesting. Well, yeah, well, I guess it depends, what kind of fans, and like, if especially
Yeah.
we talk about the cult fans or something like this is
Yeah.
nothing that we want to deal with. Okay, as we talked previously, right, about inbound, outbound leads, and as I mentioned before, it's really important to be proactive on LinkedIn. So I wanted to dive into your approach to connection requests, outreach. How do you do this systematically, and how do you build real relationship without coming across as a spammy or transactional?
Yeah. So nobody wants to be sold in the first 5 seconds. So that's why I keep my connection requests warm, or my messages warm, not spammy. So when I send a connection request, I will reference something real from their profile or content, maybe a post they wrote or project they are working on. So instead of pitching, I will ask a question or share thoughts. So that opens the door. And after that, I will keep showing up. commenting on their post, sharing something useful, maybe sending a quick voice note, maybe if it feels right. It's about staying present instead of being pushy. So I always think of it like when you're meeting someone at a coffee shop or a cafe. So you wouldn't sit down, shake hands, and then show a brochure in their face to read this. But you would have a conversation first and build some relationship and talk business if that makes sense. Sometimes you can even help them.
Yeah, that's pretty good analogy with the coffee shop conversation. Though sometimes, like, I like the direct approach, like, not even meaning, I mean, approaching the client, but I like when, for example, people are texting me with a clear, messaging, because I guess it's in my culture, just in general. We don't do much small talk. We just go straight to
Yes,
the
that was hard for me to learn as well because from the Balkans, the Slavic culture is just we are direct.
exactly, exactly. But then you mentioned also the voice note. Do they actually work? Don't people feel strange about them?
Sometimes, personally, I don't like when someone sends me a voice note, but I do send sometimes when we had a chat before, if I had to explain something or, just to hear my voice after just getting like back and forth messages, I don't open with a voice note because that just too much.
But I think it's a good strategy to maybe build more trust, especially as, we are also doing content creation for other like people, founders, right? And it's just another way to kind of say that, oh, look, this is actually me speaking to you, right? And sending a voice note, taking time.
Yes, yes, because so many people use VAs, like virtual assistants, and sometimes people ask me if I am behind this chat. Like, yes, what do you mean? I don't have a team like anybody who manages my DMs. So yeah, that's when I send like voice notes.
Okay, that's nice. And what is your approach to warming up the engagement and, moving people from lurkers to commenters to clients?
This is one of the favorite things for me because you can literally watch people move through these stages. And at first they are lurkers, they read your post quietly, pop up in the profile views, maybe hit like, but they never say anything. And to reach them, I post broad, relatable stories, things that are easy to read silently and think like, oh, that's me, or I feel like this is relatable. And then I try to move them into a low risk participation. So I will ask you simple opinion based questions, and suddenly they go from lurking to dropping their first comment or their first message. And once they're commenting or checking my profile regularly, that's when I know that they are warmed up. And at that point, I will DM them, like not to pitch, but just to say thanks or just to continue the conversation. And you would be surprised how many times they will reply with, like, by the way, I've been following you for months. Can we talk about like working together or can we hop on a call? And like, you are not forcing the funnel, but you are making the engagement feel natural at every level.
Yeah, that's pretty smart. I love this strategy, step by step, slowly but surely. And by the way, do you have any systems to track this, or this is just comes naturally and you just track something on?
When I post, I usually check the likes and the comments who commented, and also the who checked my profile. That's a premium feature. You check the profile views, and if you see your ideal client, check your profile. If you're not connected, you send them a connection request. If you're connected already, then you DM them like, "Hey, I saw you visited my profile. What did you like about it? What made you like check it or something like relevant?" um yeah, that's the two like things, two three things I check.
Again, how important it is to be proactive, right? You are not waiting for people to DM you, you're just starting the conversation. And again, it doesn't have to be salesy or pitchy from the start. You can just, drive the conversation and see how it goes, right?
Yeah, and people sometimes are afraid to reach out because they don't use LinkedIn like daily, and they just feel strange about like reaching out to strangers. And you can just break the ice, and after you break the ice, the conversation just flows.
Exactly. And what I also learned randomly that sometimes people see you as untouchable, like not approachable because once happened to me, like I went to like a conferences, it was mostly about the gaming, and somebody from my LinkedIn, first of all, like when you're active on LinkedIn and then you do the conferences, it's really, really drives the engagement and lead generation because people like it's really a conversation starter. People just start to see you, recognize you, approach you, and that's what happened to me once on a conference. A person saw me like, oh, I know you from LinkedIn, like that's so great, and we started to talk, and she's like, oh, I've been following you for a while, but then I thought you were so, not, I was
Approachable, yeah.
unapproachable that I cannot just, text you, but you're so friendly, blah, blah, blah. And they're like, yeah, of course.
Exactly.
Well, it's just, online and this is offline. And it's even happened to me when I just moved to Barcelona in the city center. I just put like the Ray-Ban Meta glasses and went out. And then I suddenly heard somebody was screaming, Renata, Renata. I was like, what? Like, I just moved out here. She
Yeah,
was like,
somebody
oh, yeah.
recognize you.
Yeah, somebody really recognized me from LinkedIn. I was like, oh, is that fame? Even though I don't have too much followers base, especially comparing to you.
uh, Nobody recognized me yet, but that would be strange, because LinkedIn, like when someone knows you on LinkedIn, that's different when someone knows you from Instagram or TikTok or something. And when you have like a bigger following, people think that you are super busy and they don't even want to bother you, that they send you a message and you can just break the ice by sending them a message.
Exactly. So don't be afraid. Just, send a message, start the conversation. No matter how big, scary people might seem, they'll be really, happy to receive your comment as well. So I know that your following grew from 0 to 30,000 plus K followers. And how did your engagement strategy evolve with this? And what works at scales versus early stages?
Yeah. So in the early days, my strategy was very manual. I replied to every comment, every message, every single notification I got. I wanted people to feel like I saw them. But when you get to tens of thousands of followers, it's impossible to keep up with everything. And I even turned off the notifications on my phone to LinkedIn to not get like notifications. And then that's when I had to get strategic. So focus on engaging with the right people, my niche, my industry peers, and my ideal clients. And the content strategy also changed. In the beginning, I was experimenting and trying a lot of angles. Now I focus on like the my rituals and repeatable forms people recognize me for. So, for example, the pink and my visuals and this stuff, and that builds a sense of community at a scale, so people know what to expect from you when they see your posts. So the biggest shift is like going from I will talk to everyone to I will nurture this circle that matters the most, basically.
I think exactly like, being recognizable is something really helps you in the long run, especially if you have like, specific maybe colors, specific types of content and etc. Just will share a few examples. First, today, for example, I was scrolling through my feeds and I almost missed a post of the guy that I really like the content that I didn't recognize his first like the profile pic because he changed it. But then I saw in the post structure because I thought like, oh, somebody started to copy him because it looked exactly like him. And I don't even know this person in real life, but I just follow him from LinkedIn. And I recognized his, style of posting, the image that he used, but the profile pic was different. And they're like, Okay. Oh, well, this is him.
Yes, yes. You can recognize people by their like profile pictures, their like colors on the feed, like the visuals they use. So yeah, I'm always consistent with my visuals.
Yeah, and I think it's really also great to play around and not to take it too serious, because I know a person, for example, he doesn't like to, take pictures of himself, and he doesn't like to post himself, like, but he, fixed this problem by doing and posting pictures of a laptop with the website open of his product and a food in front of it. It could be like McDonald's, it could be pizza, pasta, whatever, but it's always the same. It's his, company's website. It's just a food and a laptop, and I think this is also pretty, like hooking audience.
Yeah, that became his signature style.
Exactly, finding the signature style could be really, great, especially in the long run in on LinkedIn.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Awesome. Then, if we talk more about the metrics that you track beyond followers, likes, and maybe comments, how do you actually measure the real quality of the community engagements? Which metrics do
Yeah.
you choose for it?
So, like, followers and likes are nice, they feed the ego, but they don't tell you the whole story. So, I care about the comment quality. So, are people writing thoughtful responses or just, great posts or the AI comments? Also, the other metric check or notice is the consistency of the names I see. So, do I see the same people showing up again and again, or because that means they are invested, or do I see constantly new faces? Also, the silent signals, the profile views, the DMs. These often matter more than the public engagement. Also, the business impact. Am I getting calls booked or inbound leads? If the answer is yes, then the community is healthy.
Awesome. So, do you track it week by week, and do you specifically use any, tracking CRM or something for your needs?
I check weekly, but I do like a whole monthly check is better because that's when you get like a more clearer picture because you can see because if you check like weekly, it can be very different. Also, for the profile views, I check the LinkedIn's like premium feature. As for the consistency of the names, I can recognize the names in the profile pictures. The comment quality, I just scroll. As for the business impact, just the DMs I get basically. As for the impressions and the other vanity metrics, I track them in the tool called Authored Up.
Okay, awesome. And just yeah, to add, what I liked about LinkedIn now that you can also, track the clicks of the links if you add them to your posts, and also visits if you have a premium, which I really love for so many reasons. But you can also add right link to your profile, so you can add the, for example, visit my website, Google Call, or something like this, and it shows in every your post that you're publishing, which is pretty great. And then you can see the traction from there. So, for example, for me and my clients, we are tracking this. We are starting to add even links to the website to book a call, even though sometimes it lowers down the conversions, not the conversions, but it lowers down the impressions, but it can raise the conversion, which is more important because it's actually return investments that you can get, right?
Yeah, exactly. I have a ghostwriting client right now, and we are in the phase of promoting a conference he's organizing. And we put like the conference everywhere, even in the links, like, visit my website, and people actually click on that, and I can track in his like analytics. And we don't really check the vanity metrics. We check the likes, and the impressions, but the other metrics are way more important.
That's so true. And what are the biggest mistakes you see people make when trying to build engaged communities so on LinkedIn?
Yeah. People only post to sell usually, and they wonder why nobody engages. So, there are the C-level people who show up like once a month and they just try to sell their product. That doesn't work. And they are also inconsistent. They post once and they disappear for 3 months. That doesn't work. And also they ignore the people who do comments. So engagement is a two-way street. You have to reply to those comments. You have to go and comment back. And also the biggest one is like copying others. You can smell the inauthenticity from like a mile away, basically. What actually makes you interesting is your quirks, your perspective, the stuff that doesn't look perfect. So it this copying doesn't mean just like copy pasting someone's post, but it means like copying someone's style, someone's personality, or yeah, these things. So yeah, be you.
Exactly. Well, I think it's bad to copy exact thoughts and exact, for example, journey of other founder. You cannot just, copy and paste here. But I do find sometimes it's good to see the frameworks on LinkedIn, right? That can be performing. And that might bring traction because if you see them performing, you can reuse them, repurpose, let's say, for yourself, but adding your personality and your personal like journey and thoughts. For example, one of the posts I did also for myself is just, a journey from, let's say, 2020 to 2025, and also added the picture of like how I was in 2020 and 2025. And this is actually my accurate journey, how I was stuck during the COVID in Bali. And now I'm in like, moved to Barcelona, and how it's pivoted my life and etc. And this is like a framework that I see quite, a lot of founders used, and it still like performed pretty good with me because I just put their actual my experience and my thoughts and my personality, but just using the structure, let's say the post structure, and it's performed I think 5 times more than my audience right now.
Yes, because it resonates, a personal story.
Exactly. And for someone starting with 0 followers, or like, close to zero, let's say, 500, sometimes it's like that. What is the fastest way to build and engage communities?
Pick a niche and stick to it, but you don't have to like pick a niche and die in it. Don't try to be everything to everyone. Try to stick to one topic, and if you don't like it, or initially like people don't react to it, or they ignore it, then pivot. But try to pick one niche and stick to it. Also post 3 to 5 times a week, I usually recommend, or 3 to 4. And that's enough to be visible without burning out. Because if you post like 7 times a week, that's like really hard to keep up with. Also try to like set a goal to comment daily in your niche, if possible. So drop like 15 to 30 comments if you can. And that's how you get noticed fast. So you don't have to sit down and comment like all day and every day, but set a 15-minute timer on your phone and just comment sprint, just do a sprint of comments. Also show your face and share your personal stories, so people connect with people, not just faceless tips and logos. So a simple shift from how to how I can change a lot, because how to can be Google, but your story can't. So don't be afraid to share some personal perspectives. And if you do that for 3 to 6 months straight, you will build around like 100 true fans. That's for sure. And honestly, 100 true friends is all you need to get momentum going. So that's the seed of a community that will keep growing.
Amazing. This is really beautiful. Thanks for sharing. And we're going to round up. If you have any extra words of wisdoms you want to share, just go ahead.
No, I told everything I wanted.
Amazing. Well, thank you very much for joining us
Thank
today.
you.
Thank you for sharing your unique expertise and point of view, especially on the engagement, which is so, so important on LinkedIn. And see you soon. Bye.
Thank you. Bye.